Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back. I'm Lady Hatty, and today we're doing a movie review on a movie by your overlords and mine, Disney. That's right, we're talking about Moana today. In the background, I've got Fable going, just for something for you to watch, and because I just need to level up my character a little bit. So if you have been watching the Fable series, welcome. This is the footage where you can just see me leveling up. If you're not here for that, the last we're going to talk about it. So, I've seen Moana twice now. I did want to see it twice before I talked about it, just because I know that with my first review on Doctor Strange, there were some things I missed the first time around. I think I mentioned that I am a little hard of hearing, so I sometimes don't catch everything, and I just wanted to give it another go, make sure I really got a good feel for it. And so, let's jump right in. TLDR version, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It was adorable. It was lovely. I would watch it again tomorrow if I could. I've been listening to the music all day. I know some people have been complaining about the music a little bit. You know, it's no Frozen, but I mean, this is the guy who did Hamilton, Lin Manuel. Don't remember his last name. He's lovely. He deserves me remembering his last name. I'm sorry, sir. Who did the music, and it's all this Hawaiian, Polynesian theme to it, and it's fantastic. It's also Disney continuing on with doing these wonderful, strong female characters that don't need a male love interest, that like she does not have any kind of male love interest. The idea of her and romance is not once mentioned in the movie. They also don't mention her age, but I definitely get the feel that she's around 14 to 16, so I think that's awesome that this is just her going on an adventure and they don't need her to be even thinking about boys yet. She has much bigger priorities. She's learning to be the chief of her village, she's trying to save the world. Yeah, she doesn't have time for boys. She has a pet chicken. That's what matters to her. So, if you're not familiar with the movie, it's the story about this young girl, and she's the daughter of the chief. And you're thinking, oh, okay, it's another Disney princess movie, and it is, but it's not another Disney princess movie in the way that Snow White's another Disney princess. Well, Snow White's the first Disney princess movie. Even like Frozen's another Disney princess movie. No, this is a Disney princess movie like Mulan is another Disney princess movie, and I promise I will not say that phrase again. So, you know, she's the village, she's going to be the next village chief, and no one ever questions the fact that she should be the next chief as a girl. From day one, we see her as a little baby, so they kind of do the same thing with Frozen, and we see a little adventure with her as a baby, and then during the first song, we see her aging up into an older girl. Although this time, it's not depressing as all hell. It's just this happy little, okay, we're going to show you learning and growing up. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of people having a lot more expectations than she'd like. But it's a great way for us to get to know the family and everything. We see her wonderfully quirky grandma, who's her guide through the movie. And you know, it's interesting that it's an interesting look at how respecting your elders is handled in the movie, which isn't something I thought about how much while watching it, but that's something Disney's definitely focused on before. But I feel like there was a little bit more of, she questions her father a lot, and that seemed to be okay. Her father, the village chief, his mother is seen as the village crazy woman, even though she's his mother. So it's interesting. It's not really played up a lot. It's just something I noticed, I guess. I'm so used to, especially in little kids' movies, they focus on you do not question your elders, you respect your elders. So, like I said, it's not a big theme. It's just, I guess it's just something I noticed a little bit. But, you know, so we see that she's kind of torn between, as her little adventure as a baby, she saves a turtle, and the ocean sees that she's got this great heart and wants to save people, so it chooses her, and she just finds this love of this crazy, wacky ocean, and she, for the rest of her life, she wants nothing more than to be out on the ocean, even though her village doesn't believe that you should leave the the area that you're at. It kind of reminded me, if you've ever read the Emma Caffrey's Harper Hall trilogy. The first one, where it's Melanie and you can't sing, no one sings. Just a little bit of a similar feel. Again, not as depressing. Moana's got a understanding father who's frustrated, rather than, that book gets a little dark at that point. It also really reminds me of Kubo of the Two Strings, which I also absolutely adored. With Leica being, actually, I'll talk about that more later. I'm trying to get the main story down, but I definitely want to talk about the two being similar movies, but not in a bad way. So, as she's growing up, it's just her dad being very frustrated that she does have this want to go out on the ocean because they live on this bay, and it's dangerous. It's hard for the kind of canoes that they use to get past breakwater, which makes sense, but they don't really explain to him. I guess it was never explained that's why it's hard for him to go. Why it's dangerous for him to go out there is not that. It's the fact that the islands were starting to die, and their people stopped traveling because other islands were dying, and their island of Motunui is a safe one. It's one that has not yet been touched by this poison that is because the heart, the mother island was taken, and that's the adventurers to put the heart back. But so he's thinking it's just because the waters are dangerous. So he forbids her from going out. She steals a boat and tries to go out on her own and nearly dies. And she's like, "Oh, okay, never mind. No, you've got to go. You're right, Dad. I'm going to take my place. I'm going to do everything I can and be a good village chief." Which I thought was really interesting. We don't see a lot of that where, our young hero's just like, "No, never mind. You're right. I'm doing the wrong thing here." I'm being distracted by the game here because I cannot remember how to make it go over to the next thing. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Sorry about that. Anyway, so she comes back and her grandmother convinces her that no, she needs the second kid. She needs the second kid. That the fact that she's in love with the sea, there's a reason for that, and she shows her that her people were travelers once. That they have this cavern still full of boats, and when she goes in and finds the boats, she gets this vision of one of her ancestors and his people traveling the ocean. That they were this group of nomadic people, sort of. They'd settle on an island for a few years. They'd build up their people. They'd build up their supplies, and then they'd take a few years, and the next captain would take their young people and move on to a new island. So they were spreading and expanding their people. And she comes out of there being all super excited because her island is dying. They're all very afraid. She's like, Dad, we have these boats. We can leave. We were travelers once. We can be travelers again. We'll find a healthy island. And he gets all upset. Nope, we're burning the boats. I should have burned the boats a long time ago. And then Grandma dies. I should have said spoilers. This is a spoilery video. I hope you caught on to that by now. I'm so sorry if I just spoiled that for you. So Grandma dies, and she tells her at her very last, hey, you need to go. You need to take the heart, and you need to find the guy who stole the heart, and you need to save the world. So she does. Mom catches her packing and gives her blessing, and off she goes. She takes one of the canoes, and she makes it past the breakwater, and she goes out onto the water, and her ridiculous little stupid chicken joins her. Which, I love the chicken. I hated Olaf. I really disliked the stupid animal companions. But this one was fantastic because he doesn't talk. Please, Disney, keep this up. We need silent companions. You can be funny and quiet. Sven was funny and didn't talk. It was great. But again, I digress. So she goes off and she finds this demigod, Maui, who stole the stone in the first place, and he's all, "Oh, hey, you love me, that's why you're here, right? I'm gonna take your boat, and I'm gonna go off and find the hook that lets me transform, and I'm gonna go be amazing again." He reveals that he didn't steal the heart to be evil, he stole it because that's what he does. He steals things from the gods to give to humans, and the heart creates life. So he was trying to give that to humans to make them love and respect him. Like, he holds up the sky, and he stole fire from the gods. Sounds familiar. And he planted an eel, and it became coconut tree. It's a super cute little song for that. And then he takes off with her boat. And she escapes and takes it back and tells him, I am Moana of Motunui. You will board my boat and travel across the ocean and put back the heart that you stole. And he's like, I am not going to do that. Tosses her in the water. And the water just keeps putting her back on the boat because the water is also kind of this silent entity that's its own character in the movie that also has this great little sense of humor. So it's great that we've got these extra characters that don't break away from the relationships of our two main characters. So you've got this very, very small cast where it's really just them playing off each other. But they've got a couple companions as well to lighten the mood when the characters are having those darker moments. So, they go off to find his hook to help him transform again, and it's being held in... I feel like I know the name of it, because I believe that it's the realm of monsters. And I believe that this is something out of Hawaiian Polynesian culture, because it sounded very familiar to me. And so they get to this island, they climb the mountain, they jump down into it, and they go into the realm of monsters. And it's kind of like this Oogie Boogie from the Nightmare Before Christmas scene. Everything goes all day glow, and there's blacks, and it's a really, really big change in what the art and the feel of the movie is. Which I loved because, they're going into this realm of monsters. They're not in the normal world, so you need this tonal shift that doesn't feel like, it's not getting too different and weird. But you can see very quickly, okay, we're somewhere else. So I just thought that was fantastic. Enjoyed the hell out of that. And there's the giant crab who has stolen Maui's hook. Tapatoa, I believe. And he is played by one of the singers from Flight of the Conchords, who, if you haven't heard, they're kind of like Weird Al. They do weird, funny music, and it's fantastic. And you should definitely check them out if you haven't. And he has this great little song about how he's a shiny crab, and he attracts the fishes to him so that he can eat them. And he was really enjoyable. It's one of those songs where I expected I was going to be very annoyed by it, but I wasn't. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed him. I was worried this was going to be our Olaf song where I'm just sitting there cringing every time it comes on. When I picked up the soundtrack, I would delete it right away. It wasn't. I enjoyed the hell out of it. We listened to it right before I pulled up the review. I'm like, okay, Coyote, I need to listen to one more song from Moana because I've been listening to it all day before I start the review. Which one do you want to listen to? He's like, Shiny. I'll listen to Shiny. I said, okay, listen to Shiny. So they trick him and, sort of trick him. They really just, they grab the hook and they take off. The ocean helps them. And off they go. Now they've got the hook, and Maui has to relearn how to use it because it's been 1,000 years of him stuck on an island without it. So he has to relearn how to use it, which is kind of adorable. And Moana has to be like, no, it's worth it. You're this amazing guy. And they get attacked by these cute little coconut monsters that are super adorable and super evil, and I kind of love them. And they really just show up for this one battle where they have these big old boats, and it's like this Hawaiian island, like, traveling. It's kind of like your typical little Hawaii cute story with coconuts meets Waterworld meets oh dear God, I've forgotten the word.
I think we can do a special offer for you, sir.
Well, basically, it's just, it's all these different parts moving and they all work together. It's really neat and they're really fun, and they're just gone. Like, I was worried they were going to drop off one of them and we were going to have them as a weird companion for the rest of the movie, but nope, they find it and they take off because the weird coconut guys are trying to steal the heart. So those were really fun. Honestly, I'd love to see more of them in the future. I expected to be just done with them, but no, they are so cute. And just, they're weird. Like, I want to know what's under their coconut shells because they're not actually coconut people. They wear the coconuts.
Wow.
Excuse me, I still have a bit of a cold. So they leave from there, and, from there it's just more of Maui learning to use his hook, and they teach Moana how to actually wayfind and sail and get to the island, and it's this big old volcano, and so they try and fight that. No good. She breaks, or almost breaks, Maui's hook, and he gets all upset and leaves, so Now Moana has to do it on her own, and her grandma comes back as this lovely big manta ray. And so she gives her the courage she needs to try, and she's going to take the heart on her own because, I didn't really understand why we had Maui in the first place. I mean, in theory, sure, it's someone's got to do this, but really, if she'd just been like, okay, we're going to take a bunch of the big strong lads from our village and take this heart, it sort of almost feels like they're like, no, you screwed it up, I'm going to take you and make you fix it.
Nice to see you.
Because she gets very close to completing it by herself. Like, if she just had a couple people there, like another boat of people who were distracting and fighting it, I think she'd have done it just as well. But, obviously, there used to be an island, and now there's a volcano god. When they took away the heart, the island turned into a volcano. So she tells the volcano, this isn't who you really are, you're better than this. And the volcano's like, yeah, okay, you're right. And turns back into this lovely giant island lady. And she goes home, and her people are like, yay, you saved us. And her father has to accept that, yes, you survived out there, so now they're traveling the seas again. And they have a reprise of the lovely song that they did when she had her vision. And did I mention the music's amazing? And Maui gets his hook repaired by the gods, and it's lovely. It's this very happy little ending, we don't see, and then she came back, and some boy we saw once, now they're getting married. Nope, there's none of that. It's just her helping them set off on the sea and teaching her dad how to read the stars and the tides and teaching her mom how to tie knots on the boats, and it's really nice. So I did want to talk about some of the themes. I mean, the thing I mentioned earlier, this is an amazing feminist movie, and I don't mean that as it's a feminist movie. I'm not trying to make this a political thing. It's just, this is a movie in which a female is shown to be in a role that could just as easily have been played by a male, but wasn't. Like I said, it's very similar to Laika's Kubo of the Two Strings. It's almost... There are very similar characters, and there's no reason that she didn't need to be a girl, and they just do a great job of, like, when we see the mother and father together, we don't really see much. The father is the chief, the mother's more of kind of just a wife, but as we go around the village, we do see women doing just as much as the men are doing. It's a little more split there, with the men are doing more of the fishing, the women are doing more of the growing and whatnot. But by the end, especially when we see them dragging out the ships and when they're traveling again, the women are doing exactly as much as the men are. And it's really nice to see that, they've got her mom. Hi, kid. My cat's being a derp. that you've got these teenage girls and mothers and old ladies out there helping with the ships just as well as the men. And that was beautiful to see. Just showing that, in this kind of culture, there's no reason why you'd turn down any pair of able hands. And that they were saying, okay, she's a woman, she's our next chief, that's all that matters. So that was just beautifully done. I really loved it. Although... No, that's not really fair, because our big bad, sort of, the island itself was also a woman. I am having trouble fishing here. Oh, people aren't... I'm sure there's some people just listening to this in another tab. I'm sorry if you're getting confused, the video game I'm playing. I'm fishing. Anywho. But I did compare it to Laika. Like I said, they are very similar movies with Kubo. I'm very glad Kubo came out first, because I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I do worry that if it had been the later one to come out, people would have been going, they totally just stole that from Disney. Whereas, no, it's a 3D. It's not just 3D animated, it's claymation. There's no way they heard Disney might, in 5 years, make a travel by water movie and hit it so note for note. I mean, obviously that would be ridiculous. But if you've seen Kubo, it's a lot of the same stuff, with this young kid going out on this journey across the ocean, meeting up with this ancient, well, not ancient, but this great heroic thing, and they go across the ocean, and they have to fight some big mighty things in the water, and then take off their big bad on islands. I don't know. it definitely wasn't note for note the same movie, but there was a lot of similarities, and it's a kind of story I like. I mean, we've had a lot of our big uh, Western fairy tales, your swords and sorcery. So it's nice that we've got more of these boat adventures. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is one of my favorite video games of all time, so I'm certainly not against it, especially because there was a lot less sailing than in that game. Equally good music, though. And I did want to talk about the music a little lot more. It is just so good. Honestly, I felt like Tamatoa, the great big crab, like, he's so important to the movie for one major reason. He has our villain song, because the volcano does not sing. And you cannot have a Disney movie without a villain song. And it's a pretty good one. It's a really fun one. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of Oogie Boogie's song. It was a total shift from the rest of the movie, which is fine. It was a good one. It was a fun one. It's apparently inspired by David Bowie, and you can't go wrong with Bowie. And there was originally a song for it, More. You can look it up on YouTube, they've got the original there. And it's... so she still got her wanting more song that was left in the movie, but it's not quite as overt as some of them have been. And if you listen to that song, it's really bad. It's kind of just note for note of the I want more, which thankfully that got left out. But her song is really more about that. Specifically, she wants to sail on the ocean. She wants to be a sailor. And I like that it's a lot more specific. It's not just, I'm bored and I want something. It's, I want to get from here to doing what I want to do with my life. And I think that's an awesome message, especially for kids, for people who are growing up and moving on with their lives, to be learning. It's not just, oh, I want to move, I want something. It's, what things in your life give you this feeling of, oh my, I want that, I want more of this. For me, I crochet stuffed animals for a living, so it's, I want nothing more than to do this for the rest of my life. That's what you want to find in life. That's the passion, not just, I want to not be here, I want to not do this. And there's nothing wrong with that, being, hey, I want to just go off to college and learn things is great too, but that can't be all there is. So I love that. And the rest of the songs were just great too. I did feel like the first major song, not the opening song, but the song The Village Sings to Her, was almost a spiritual successor to Little Mermaid and Under the Sea, because it's the stay here, everything you want is here, your family's here, your life is here. So it was just kind of fun, and just feeling, it's still a great song. It just kind of felt like a direct callback to that, and especially with it being an island movie, it was like, oh hey, this is a very similar thing, but a lot less passive aggressive. We didn't have our crab just be like, psh, why would you want to be there? There's a little bit of that, but it's more just like, look at how amazing this place is. How could you not want to be here? I think one of the big things is there's very little cynicism in this movie. Especially with a lot of modern movies, DreamWorks and the like, there's a lot of cynicism. There's a little bit with the, oh, you're a princess. I'm not a princess. Well, you're the daughter of the chief, and you wear a dress, and you have an animal psychic. You're a princess. But there wasn't a lot of that, where they're bucking the tropes. They do through good, different story writing, not just by pointing out overtly where they're bucking trends. And I think that makes it a good movie way more than pointing out where, can you believe most movies do this? Aren't we cool for not doing that? And there's totally a time and a place for that. There are some movies I absolutely adore that are totally tongue-in-cheek of, haha, look at how cliche we are or aren't, or whatever. And also, again, back to this being a wonderful feminist movie. They're shaped like real people. Moana's still got a bit of the big Disney eyes, but she looks like a healthy teenage girl, not an emaciated one, especially one who's out working all the time. She looks like a young woman who has muscle, and she runs around barefoot all the time, and she's not, some skinny mini or disproportional or anything. And then you've got Maui, who is based on the Rock, and they basically just took the Rock and squished him. So he's just this giant beast of a man, and it's great. And there's just, it was wonderful having a movie where they're not all stick thin little Barbie dolls. So that was beautiful and lovely. And I mean, that's really it. It's Disney. If you don't like Disney, you're not gonna see it. If you do, you're gonna see it, and you're probably gonna like it. You know, I don't want to be sitting here comparing this to Frozen and Inside Out, the movies that have come out in the last few years, because I feel like it's its own movie. I do think it absolutely stands up with those movies. I think that we're going to be watching this one just, for me growing up, it was The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. That, for my kids, it's absolutely going to be Moana is going to be among them, that they're going to love to death and watch over and over and over and over until my husband and I are pulling our eyes out. So, yeah, please go give it a try if you think there's any chance you might like it. There is an after credits scene. It's just a cute little thing. You're not missing much if you don't watch it, and you can look it up on YouTube, but it's fun. And I did want to mention there's a short film before it, of course, because they're starting to do that more and more these days, and it's adorable. It kind of feels a lot like Inside Out, except instead of it being his emotions that we're seeing, it's this guy going to work and we see his organs. So we see his brain and his heart and lungs and stomach and bladder and kidneys as they react to the things that are going on around him, and it's just such a cute little short. I'm not going to ruin that one for you by giving it a full breakdown. Go see the movie, go see the short. I think if you don't want to see Moana, usually if you've got a more artsy-fartsy theater in your town like we do, it should be I see no way it won't be nominated for an Academy Award, so it should be among the short films that you can go see for that, the animated short films. Usually they are available, not always, but... Oh, there's some person that's that. In the video game, not in real life. So check that out, check out Moana, and thank you guys so much for taking a look. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And you all stay shiny. You go glitter in your sun, so shiny.